Now, I'm making a video here and it's about thickness and sizing and stuff. So I had people ask me about the thickness again, and they're telling me, well, plate armor was thicker around the 1600s as firearms, and it was much thinner back then. And there's a lot of truth to that actually, but it's not completely, well, again, there's no standard thickness on armor. There's ranges. They're not wrong. And I don't know if I mentioned this before or not, and I think I did, at least in one of my videos, where as firearms became more prevalent in the battlefield, armor in general, including plate, got a bit thicker. Especially non-plate armors like Lemelar and stuff. They got way thicker. So, but plate, it did get a bit thicker. That is true. 3.5 range, 3mm range of core protection would be around the 1600s or 1570 and stuff, and higher. That is true. However, before the 1600s and before 1575, there was plate armor that were that thick on the core protection where you had 3.5 or 3mm. So, although that was pretty rare for a lot of reasons. And the main reason was because the threat wasn't quite there. So a thinner plate of mild steel can definitely stop a crossbow or a really powerful bow and stuff without any issues, or much issues really. Plate armor was quite immune to arrows. I mean, you can take the best bow and arrows in the world, and this is not going to go through it to kill the guy, at least in a reasonable range. And what I mean by that, anything before 25 meters, that's just not going to happen. Plate was essentially virtually immune to arrows, really. I mean, they just really were. I mean, you can take the most powerful bow in the world, like I said, in any culture, it doesn't matter, and try to go against something like this. You're not going to kill the knight or soldier wearing this. You're just not. Unless you hit the gaps and stuff. Good luck doing that, by the way. But, there's a reason why this stuff was the king of all armors. Most plate armor in the 15th century or 13th century, right, were probably going to be a bit thinner, and they're probably going to be, not 30mm thick. While that existed, that's going to be pretty rare. It's going to be pretty darn rare. So in short, yes, when there was more firearms in the battlefield, while there was more prevalent, plate armor did get a little bit thicker. It will be a little bit thicker on average. While you're talking about 1400s and below, yeah, like Gothic plates would be typically be a little bit thinner. Because they're dealing with bows and crossbows more than, arquebusts and pistols. And once again, it doesn't mean there wasn't any plate that was up to 3 or 3.5mm thick on the core protections, but it was just much more rare. I guess typically it'll be around 2mm, 2.5. That's a lot more common for core protection on the breastplates on the 1400s and 1300s. So, even the 1500s, to be honest.